All right, folks. Zach K here again. Episode number 2, Path to Remission. Perhaps this is your first time meeting me through these videos, or maybe you watched the first one. Again, my name is Zach K. Zachkay. One of my jobs is being a broadcaster. I'm a co-host on a pretty big political internet radio show where we broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, even Amazon Fire and Roku. And I'm a co-host on this show that got picked up on a large network, which is called the Big Sarge Show. And alongside, under our network, where I'm kind of a partner in, I run my own show called The Cerebral Connection. You can look that up on Facebook. I'll put the links in the description. And in that group and on my radio show on Facebook, I'm kind of creating a scenario where I'm going to be focusing on both political and mixed with I'm going to do a series on PTSD. Educating on it, coping skills. My partner and I, he goes by the name Big Sarge. His name's Rob. Friend, I say partner. No, he's married. We're not actual partners intimately. He should get a kick out of that. So him and I, the reason I brought him up is because him and I are going to be co-authoring a book together. We're going to be co-authoring a book about PTSD, what it is, some examples, and how to approach it, better understanding it, and how to cope with it. And like this title of my episodes, Path to Remission. That's the goal. We want people to be in remission, not just supporting each other, which is great, but actual remission. Now, what makes me qualified in this is I've been in remission from extreme anxiety and suicidal depression when I was young. I'm 34 now, and this type of stuff I dealt with in my late teens and going into my 20s. And I learned professional coping skills. I learned and practiced techniques that over time, immediately there was relief, and over time I went into remission where it's not really an issue for me. So now these days I educate on it. My main job is not this network and these videos. I'm actually a day trader, and the second career in broadcasting and YouTube, Facebook, and I'm also an author, and I have a self-help book that I wrote. I have a couple other books. I have another book for sale, and my website will be in the description. Tomorrow it goes up. I had to take it down for a little bit, but tomorrow and Friday it will be up. It will be up indefinitely again. That is www.zachkay101.com. ZACHKAY101.com. That will be in the description. And there I sell 2 books currently. One being a self-help book on anxiety and coping skills. And well, I don't want to drag on here because the purpose of today's episode is to talk about these 2 concepts, right, in this title. But ultimately, that's where I sell my books, and I'm creating more. And this career of mine is basically partially an effort to share my knowledge with these communities. Okay, so two main concepts when approaching anxiety. First of all, I've explained this in the last video, but not everyone's going to watch all my videos, so I'm going to briefly explain it again. What is anxiety? Anxiety is the fight or flight mechanism. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. You'd be surprised. It is a mechanism in our brain that theoretically was created and evolved into parts of our brain when we were hunter-gatherers a long time ago. And it pumped adrenaline into the bloodstream, therefore into the muscles, to run or fight or flight. And it made you faster, it made you stronger, it made you quicker. It made you more ruthless when it came to hunting. And the alternative, running faster away, right? Running for your life. Now the issue is that we're dealing with the same evolutionary aspect of what it is to be human on this planet. We're dealing with that same mechanism without the hunter-gatherer surroundings. So we get it talking to a stranger, even walking. I remember a few times, like, I noticed I would just be walking down the sidewalk and a stranger would be coming my way, and I would get anxiety. It can happen at that such simple level, because what the brain is doing, it's perceiving danger and therefore pumping the adrenaline. However, sometimes the danger is completely irrational, but the mechanism still kicks off. First concept, one word: acceptance. Every therapist, every psychiatrist would say that is the main concept of how they how they wish for you to see this scenario, this anxiety. Acceptance. Not control, not eliminate, not fight, not try and neutralize it. Accept that it's there. Let it be there. And let me say this. Acceptance is the main concept, right? But from my own experience, it's not about just one concept or the other. It's really about multiple concepts and strategies put together in a way that is professional and, can be put together in a certain way to custom fit you. Some of them, the coping skills I used, say, in the past 5 years, they're very much a shoot off of, I don't have to remind myself to accept this stuff. I've built that into my mind. Now it might be just a key word in my mind where I just remind myself of it, and it soothes anxiety, it soothes uncomfortability, and it's the main concept is still based off acceptance. I let what I pick up empathically, I let that be there. I let what I sense, if someone's angry with me, I let that, my reaction to it energetically, I accept that that's there. Every time something like that comes up, or I pick up on someone's anxiety, my initial reaction still can be sometimes to control it and try and strategically outmaneuver it. But every time I go back to the same concept. Nope, let it be there. Accept it, allow it to be, and pass. And it always works. Always works. It's not perfect, but it's worth implementing in every scenario you run into with anxiety or emotions or something uncomfortable for you. So that's the first main concept: acceptance. Accept instead of fight. Now, the next concept is the idea of self-reflection. Now, there's going to be more concepts that I'm going to bring forth, and specific coping skills that I'm going to teach in these videos for anxiety, depression, even schizophrenia and bipolar. This will not be a political show. I don't want to digress here, but this is not going to be my political show. This YouTube channel is for anxiety, depression, even schizophrenia and bipolar. That's where I intend to educate through this YouTube channel. My Facebook stuff, that will be political and PTSD. So, self-reflection. How often do you observe your thinking? Do you observe your thinking at all? Do you observe your emotions? Do you observe conclusions that happen in your mind? Do you analyze them? Do you observe characteristics of yourself and ponder them, and perhaps strategically exercise certain characteristics of yourself and take in and counterbalance some of your flaws? These are examples of the second concept that I wanted to talk about, self-reflection. Can you do that? How often do you do that? Observe yourself internally. And, you can look at the external things you do as well. And, soon after I got such severe anxiety at the age of 17, I began reading and studying self-help books and spirituality and the mind and how it works, and emotions, and recovering deeper emotions. And when you're young, it's hard to handle intense fear because it's very powerful, and in a lot of people's cases, they lack experience with just dealing with it at all because they grew up and it was just kind of a normal life. Not to say that there aren't cases where there isn't a normal life for some of you listeners, and I have a lot of respect for people who have gone through stuff and they're still here. It's tough here, you guys. It's tough. There's tough challenges. If a family you grow up in is abusive, it could really create a lot of anxiety. It can be very challenging even after you have moved out, because there's tendencies and there's thoughts that are automatic. So what do? You can observe that thinking. You can observe those mechanisms within you and analyze them, think about them, strategically observe. And then the more you think about that stuff, and and you can overdo it. You don't want to overdo it in terms of thinking, because that is possible. That's one of my lessons in my life. Sometimes I overthink things, and I look too deep into things, and I get it wrong, flat out wrong. I might think, oh, I'm sensing this intuitively, or I'm sensing that, and then I might ask like a family member, like, hey, were you thinking that? And they're like, no. I'm like, God, jeez. The simple point here is even instincts can be wrong. It's possible for them to even be wrong. As a day trader, I'm an instinct trader, or in other words, a field trader. I trade based off my intuition, and it's wrong all the time. It is wrong all the time. It's right a lot of the time too, and fortunately a little bit more than 50%. But still, a huge chunk, my intuition is wrong. To summarize that point, it is not even intuition is perfect. Not even instincts are perfect. Self-reflection. Try it. Start to observe your thinking. Start to observe it. And it might make you uncomfortable because the mind, as you exercise thoughts willingly or unwillingly, it picks up speed, it gains strength. Remember, there's the neural network of your brain contains thoughts and memories, and that network can shift around, and one thought might be attached to another thought, and it's like this extraordinary maze of brain matter, and it's fired up electrically. I'm not sure if that's a word. And they're all interacting with each other. All these different pieces of thoughts and memories and brain matter and neural network. So, and I found that one of the best ways to deal with something like that, where the mind is very active and it's kind of a stressful thing and it's automatic and it's just going and going and going, observation is probably, in my opinion, the first step in cleaning all that up. Can you observe all that thinking? And some would say you don't need to observe all your thoughts, and I kind of agree with that. You don't have to observe everything, but putting effort down that road of observing and more observing, it does have great benefits. It does have great benefits. And I've gotten to the point where I'll observe almost every thought that comes in my mind, and I might react to it or think about it or drop it for another day. So that's it. That's it, you guys. The two main concepts for approaching anxiety were acceptance and self-reflection. Self-reflection. All right, this is Zach K. Broadcasting for the series Path to Remission, episode number 2. Be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit share, and be sure to look at the links in my description. All right, everyone have a wonderful evening.